do internship, and go on to do post-graduation or whatever they want and be wonderful doctors. Stress and burnout have become increasingly more common among the medical fraternity, and the onset of this pandemic has only increased challenge manifold. And therefore, it is very wonderful that Indian Medical Association, the largest professional body, had thought to start an initiative 2 years ago. And I'm very happy to have a wonderful team of volunteer doctors who are part of this D4D. And we work very closely with the SN team, with the JN team, and the WW wing of the Army. Today is the third webinar in our series that we call the Roadmap series. We started 3 months ago. The first one was on resilience, a quality very essential for everybody, but more so for those in the medical profession. The second one was on optimism. Optimism is a quality that we desperately need when times are hard, so that you can look at the bigger picture, the longer term, and focus on the positives. And this time, it's A, with a capital A, attitude. An attitude of gratitude is what I love to live by. And I find that when we find a reason to be grateful for even small things in life, the bigger challenges somehow trouble us less. An attitude of positivity, attitude of optimism, attitude of inquiry, of being able to communicate, talk, and resolve issues is very important. And sometimes a dialogue doesn't just resolve an issue, it can actually dissolve an issue. So here's healthy dialogue, healthy debates, and today's webinar has a group of lovely panelists and speakers. We have speakers from the student community, and we wish to have a healthy debate around the topic of what's next. Next, as all know, I don't have to tell you, is the national exit test proposed for medical students. And we wish to hear from the students what the challenges would be when, if and this instituted, and we have to also see what are the possible advantages and positives, because after all, a positive attitude is very important. And as intelligent, educated human beings, it is important to be able to see both sides of the coin, keep an open mind, and listen to others speak, and then make our choices in life. So, before we go into debate, I'm going to do a quick introduction of our panelists today, and more details about their accomplishment will be posted on chat group. Let me start with Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanetkar. She is a well-known figure in the medical community, and across India, she has become a well-known face as well. We are very privileged and very happy to have her today on this important topic of an attitude, because I'm sure she shares some interesting stories about her attitude that has helped her to where she is and be who she is, as well as throw some more light and takeaways from the debate we plan to have. Our next panelist is Dr. Murtuza. He's a part of my D4D team and a very active member, I must say. A wonderful human being who's going to be one of the key speakers in today's debate, because he was mentor of one of the teams. We go on to Dr. Abhinav. He is also my D4D member, a psychiatrist, eminent psychiatrist and practicing psychiatrist in Delhi, and therefore his role in the emotional well-being space is so important. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Murtuza and Dr. Abhinav. I'm counting on you all to share some interesting perspectives. We go on to Dr. Arvind Swami. All the MSN people know him as your national leader, and he was part of our seminar last time as well. And we have the Shankul, a past office bearer of the MSN, supporting us in today's discussion. Thank you for being here, Dr. Shankul, Dr. Arvind. We have two more people who are part of our panel today as debaters, or rather three, I think. Prashant, Naved, and Krishna Gop. Welcome to you, young medicos and budding doctors. A warm welcome to all of you. And those who have not joined for various reasons, we be judgmental about it. But those who could join us, too bad. They are missing on a very interesting experience for sure. And then, of course, there's me. I'm Dr. Nilima Kambi. I'm the chairperson of the D4D initiative, and I'm very pleased and very honored to be your moderator today. Let's kickstart with a few opening words and remarks from our chief guest and senior most panelist, Dr. Madhuri Kanetkar.
Thank you, Dr. Nilima. Dear friends, I think it's a lovely opportunity for me to be on this thing, and frankly, I've come here to listen, not to say anything, because since the theme is attitude, I thought I must show this attitude where I would love to listen to all the young doctors and who are the future of the country. As far as this, well, it was, I think, it's not really a debate in that sense, in the true sense, but you make it sound fun by bringing in an element of this. But the aim, main aim, when Dr. Nilima mentioned to me that it's the attitude, I thought, why not give an opportunity to all the young doctors to find out what is their thought process, what is their attitude towards this. So it's not about, probably it got a little misunderstood that do you want next or do you don't want next? I mean, it's like saying that do you want to eat food or you don't want to eat food for the rest of your life? I mean, is that a debate? Well, it's not. But it could be if it's changed into how would I mean, you are hungry, you want food, and you need to have food, but what is the attitude behind it? I mean, would you think of it as for a nutrition, to fill the tummy, for the taste buds, or would you think about the things against, like, if you're going to eat all the stuff which is good but not really great, like your fast food and things, are there going to be problems with it? What is your perspective? So the aim of this whole thing was attitude of the senior colleagues who have joined in, to know the attitude of students. So it's really unfortunate that a large number felt that they can stay away, but then so what? That's what life is about, where each one has a choice, and you come in or not with your choice, with your own attitude, right? Some things you're born with, those are genetic. You grow up under an environment which is also may not be under your control, but developing an attitude of learning to accept and things which you're not is an attitude that matters to you. And I'd like to, before leaving the floor to the young people, like to say that through life, my philosophy was, God, give me the courage to change what I can, the humility to accept what I can't, and the intelligence to know the difference. So with that introduction, I think I'd like to listen to you all. All the best, guys. The floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Mali. That is my favorite serenity prayer, and it had been brought by Dr. Pratima, our head of NIMHAN, in a previous webinar as well. And we all have a choice at every phase and every stage of our life. And today, before we start the debate, I'd like to engage the audience on some core feedback we like to take from them. And therefore, we have a quick poll requesting all the audience to use your fastest finger first. The first polls have sets of questions. Please answer all of them. It'll pop up your system or your window, and we will be able to see the results instantly. This is what technology helps us do. So let's launch the polling. We panelists vote, so please students, we request you please quickly vote, and when you finish your first question, go on to the next and take all the questions. Be honest, because we don't know who is voting what. We get the aggregate information, and we really like to know what's happening in your life and how best we can help or reach out to in the proper manner. So go ahead, please give us your valuable input.
Dr. Nilima, your video seems to be frozen. You could just check that, please.
Okay. I think
Yes.
because I'm on the
You're
phone,
fine.
if I go in the polls, it tends to freeze. Am I better now?
Yes, thanks.
Anyway, I can't take the poll, so I'll just wait for the students to give us their input. So please attempt all 3 questions. They're MCQ type questions. And it would be nice to hear back from all of you. Once we have the polls, the tech team may please can close the polls and share the results. And let's see what our students have to say.
We have about 75% of the room who's voted, and we're still receiving responses. So we'll just wait for
let's give another minute or so. So one of the attitudes I like to practice also is patience. So though technology and fastest finger firstly works well, it's good to give everyone a chance, because that's the principle of Ubuntu, which is saying I am because we are. And it's not always about me, I, but we, us, and ours. And they're all our students. So I would like to wait them.
So we have about 82% of the room that has voted, and not seeing any more responses. So we can perhaps end the poll and share the results.
Let's have the result. Let's see what it says. Yes, please. Thank you, Deepthi. Okay, we have 52% saying they feel anxious, stressed, or worried only occasionally, which is very good. So today's audience, I think, has a healthy attitude towards life and this pandemic, and so they are managing or handling their stressful situation well. There are 20% says on most days I felt anxious or stressed. Don't be sad or feel bad about being among those 20%. If you are not alone. There are, if you are one of these 80, then there is 22 others who are also feeling similarly, and there are many more out there feeling the same. And it's not just doctors and medical students. This period has been stressful and has created a lot of mental health challenges among many. Just remember, you are not alone, and you have options to reach out and get help from your family, from your friends, and from the MAD4 team. Okay? We will be with you, we will support you, and we will help you in every way possible. Good to know 8%, 23% not feeling stressed at all. Hooray to that, a very positive attitude indeed. My thoughts about pursuing my hobbies. Hobbies are an excellent way and a very important part of life. We often wit up under the pressure of studies and work. So let me see what the people say. 47% say, I can do it. That is, practice my hobby if my friends motivate me to do it on most days. That's a very honest answer. Thank you for being honest. It is true. When there are like-minded people who engage in similar hobbies or sports, and you'll enjoy time together doing that, it is much more possible that you consistent do it for long periods of time. And that's one important thing. Most colleges will offer options to join big teams or sports teams and all, and that team sort of becomes your small support group, and you'll can enjoy it together. There are 40% who say hobbies later, now it's time studies and career only. I don't at all view as right, wrong, or anything. This is part of how we are brought up. Asians, and especially Indian and Chinese families, put so much stress on education and achieving, sometimes to the exclusion of all else. But just a quick reminder to a few: human beings have a balanced body, a balanced mind, and then they are their most happy and productive self. So studies are important, careers are important, but it's not a question of this or that. If you manage your time well, you can do both and still excel. And we'll have some of our panelists, student speakers share their experience of how they manage to do it with y'all, okay? I had started saying attitude of gratitude is how I like to live my life. And here it says 32% always live it. Yippee to that, keep doing it. Even in the dearest of circumstances, in the most stressful of situations, there's always that silver lining in the dark cloud. 56% are saying on most you have an attitude. Wonderful, young friends. I'm so happy to see this. Some say not too often, and some say they've never tried it. For those who have not tried it, please try it today. Right now, I'm very grateful that all of you are giving such honest feedback. And that is something very much having gratitude for. And whether it's just because you're alive, you're healthy, you're young, you're educated, you have friends, a family, there are just a zillion things you can be grateful for. And the important thing is, when you keep that perspective of being grateful for even the small things that are good in your life, the bigger things that may be more challenging somehow don't seem to stress you out much. It doesn't make negative things go away, but it just reduces the stress and the pressure you feel because of those things. It's like saying, when you put a pain relieving gel on a eared muscle, not that the injury has gone away, but that balm helps you gain relief. So gratitude is like that. It's a balm to your soul. So keep practicing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the results. And let's now go on to what was the important talk today about what next. And since we don't have all the speakers volunteered, those who are there, I'm happy for you all. And welcome again, Shant, Naved, Krishna. And thank you, Dr. Abhinav, Dr. Murtuza, and Dr. Shankul for being there. So now let's put this discussion. If you don't call it a debate, let's call it discussion. And we have Akash added. So Akash and Murtuza will be speaking to say what are the silver linings on this exam that is being proposed and what are the possible advantages. And as students, I beseech you all, listen to it with an attitude of openness, of willingness to hear another point of view, of being able to look at both sides of the coin and then making your decision. And then even if whatever comes away, if you are able to look at both the sides of the story, if you're able to put yourself in the other person's shoe, it's going to be a terrific skill that you'll have, especially let's say dealing with a patient in your career and the case is not going too well, there are complications, possible fatalities looming large, and you have to communicate with the family. If you can put yourself in their shoes and see how they're feeling and empathize with them and communicate correctly, it will reduce the stress for them and for you, and definitely will go a long way in minimizing all these cases of unnecessary violence, frustration being expressed, often because of a breakdown in communication and a breakdown in that attitude of being able to listen and the other person is. So over Murtuza and Dr. Abhinav to conduct this discussion, and let's all listen patiently, and we'll have questions, sirs, and we'll ask the students also to post their questions and remarks in the chat group so that we can answer them and resolve them or solve them. Okay? Over to you, Murtaza and Abhinay. We will conduct it so that one person speaks about the challenges, will be followed by a person who speaks about possible advantages and positivities also. Okay, we'll go one way, one after the other, and at the end we have some concluding takeaways that all of us can share. Okay.
Can I propose we begin with somebody speaking against it, or so to speak, the challenges outweighing the benefits? Our team, which is full of
yes, please,
would like to speak next.
Okay.
Thank you, Murtaza. Yeah, thank you, Murtaza. I think we'll start with Krishna Gopal. He's a final year student of Believers Church Medical College in Kerala. He will be, so we have 3 speakers in our team who will be covering various aspects of next exam. So he will be covering with the quality of the impact on the quality of medical education system, dilemmas in a medical student's mind, and lacunae in the whole examination system, which will continue to remain with next examination. Over to Krishna. You got to unmute yourself, Krishna. Yeah.
Good evening, respected judges, the chief guest for the day, dear faculty members, and other members of the house. A very warm good evening to one and all present here. So I would like to express you my sincere thanks for selecting this topic as should next actually the attitude of this examination. So in this case, I'll be actually talking against the motion, where I'll be discussing about the flaws in the implementation of the national exit examination, which is going to be posed and implemented in the next coming few years. So as we all know, India has one of the largest medical education system in the country, and over the past 25 years, we have seen the number of medical colleges have been risen to nearly 542, but still the government is not able to achieve the necessary doctor-patient ratio as prescribed by the WHO, which is actually 1:1,000. So in this country where we are living, where the government is actually trying to increase the admission and increase the number of medical graduates, we are actually at a system which is going to be implemented to ensure the quality. But the actual question is it actually going to bring in the quality which is of medical graduates, which is actually aiming at? So I'll be talking briefly on a few aspects of this examination. First is the competency aspect, which I'll be speaking about in the beginning. So competency as such is what is being aimed from conducting such an examination. So my question is whether an MCQ based examination alone can just ensure that a doctor is competent enough or has enough and adequate quality. In the sense being, suppose this examination is not, this licentiate examination, a student or a medical student fails to pass the licentiate examination, there will be actually a pool of medical students which will be created or having degrees from recognized institutes across the country, who will actually be at stake, in the sense being they'll actually don't know what to do with actually holding in their degrees. So our question is, what will actually the government be doing for them? What will actually be the situation of these students in that particular scenario, or trapped in that situation, with all those holding their degrees, and along with the economic and financial burden which they have taken in along during their journey, and all the hardships they have taken in, they are finally at a position where they are not able to get a license after passing numerous examinations just to grant a permission to practice medicine in India. Now, the second thing is, as I've already mentioned, there are a lot of examinations being conducted all throughout this course. So implementing such an examination, a licentiate examination, to ensure the quality might deter or derail the quality or lower the quality or the focus of students to just this licentiate examination or this postgraduate examination as such. Then they leave apart the other university examinations, or the seriousness of attending all those university examinations will actually be coming down, in the sense being they'll just shift their focus from acquiring clinical skills and training during the MBBS internship period to focus on their theoretical or the aspects related to passing out this next with higher grades or getting an admission in one of the reputed institutes across the country for qualifying this for qualifying this next entrance examination. So there will actually be a shift in the focus of students during the internship period to mainly give a focus on this particular examination so that they can acquire a PG seat in one of the reputed institutes in the country. And the next thing is, this process will as such undermine the importance of other examinations which is happening in the first year, the second year, which will be conducted by the respective university. This will just be an eligibility criteria to appear for the licentiate examination. So should this actually be happening in, are we going to degrade the quality of universities which actually are playing a vital role in ensuring the quality of medical students or ensuring the training of medical students for that particular 5-year period of time? And the next aspect which I'll be speaking about is, we have heard of a competency-based training being going to get implemented from the 2019 batch of MBBS graduate onwards. When we are contemplating to enforce such a situation into medical curriculum to ensure quality, at the same time we are towing an alternate way or an alternate method, like bringing in the licentiate exam to ensure additional quality. So is it actually going to give in the additional quality? Then why not the competency based education can actually give in the quality or the competency to the doctor which they are aiming it, rather than giving in a licentiate examination alone in the form of next to ensure that. So is there actually a need for a licentiate exam as such in that particular scenario? Then the next thing would be, it is actually questionable as to this assessment should solely be based on MCQs or not. Now, ma'am, I would like to present before you a lot of other conditions which is actually affecting the quality of medical education across the country. Just taking a minute of shift from the focus of just this alone, I can tell you numerous factors which is actually degrading the quality of medical education across the country. From being, we have seen the number of medical colleges rapidly rising in many states, so there is a skewed distribution of medical institutions across the country. And the second thing is the tuition fees drastically increasing. The students are not being given adequate training, or there is a severe shortage of patients or staff or whatever clinical resources which a student should be having or getting during his period of learning. This is actually bringing down the quality downhill. The next thing is the teachers, the adequacy of teaching staff in all those medical colleges. The required, whether they are there.
Let's not deviate too much from the theme.
Yes,
we will later. So I was please focus on your topic.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. So actually, all these factors are there apart from
what every speaker. Have you
3 minutes.
Time?
Yes,
3 minutes. So I think we should request the speaker to wind up when there are 30 seconds left, right?
Sure, ma'am. So in that case, I would like to ask the question whether just this licentiate exam would alone bring in or maintain the quality or ensure the competency of doctor, which we are actually aiming in through this system. So with the low educational impact, or without correcting the flaws or the concerns which students are having about implementing such an examination, which is going to be implemented in the next few years, I don't think this might create the need or the objective which this examination as such is aiming. So I would request our concerned authorities to look upon this issue. And with that, I would like to conclude my words. Thank you.
Next, from the team that will also give different perspectives, that will be some positives in every negative. For this, we'd like to invite Akash Sethi. Prepared well, but most importantly, is also kept his time. So he will finish in 3 minutes. I'll be watching over. And Akash, please don't mind if I stop you at the end of 3 minutes. Thank you. And here, Akash.
Oh, sorry. Am I visible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Both visually and in spirit, you are completely visible. Go on.
Yes, sir. Just a second. I will have to turn on one of my other lights. Just give me a second.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, please be kind.
Just
I know you have a lot of solid points to debate.
yeah.
Go easy on.
We are
Yeah.
all here.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. Just give me like 10 seconds. I heard Krishna's speech through Murtuza sir's microphone. So just to like get my hands on.
Can I request the moderators to extend his a little beyond 3 minutes if it's okay with you, because we have only one speaking for, right?
No,
Yeah,
we will have one more. The facilitator
Yeah, done. Okay,
for the
thank you.
benefit of the students.
I think I am with Madhuri ma'am here. I think we'll give him
We'll give a little extra
time.
time.
We'll give him a little
Okay.
extra time because he's prepared and he's one of the only team members who was allowed to join. Board steps.
Wonderful attitude, Akash. Please, over
Thank
to
you,
you.
ma'am.
I give him 2
Okay.
minutes, so 4 minutes for
Okay.
him, and he'll take 1
Right.
minute of my time.
Right. So can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Respected Madhuri ma'am and respected Nilima ma'am and the other members of the house. Now the opposition has taken a very pessimistic approach over here. For opposition to win this debate, they cannot come up here and say that, okay, this will be type of all the other exams in the university will be of waste. It will be an eligibility exam. In the internship, people will start to prepare. The opposition can't come here and point out problems, because for them to win this debate, they need to come up, they need to prove to you that the status quo, which is the final year exam plus the NEET PG, is better than what we are proposing, and that will surely not the case, right? So first of all, what is the current issues with the systems? Number one, I'll be talking about how people in internship are focusing more on NEET PG and less on internship. My second argument will be uh, how quality cannot be ensured by MCI inspections and we need an outgoing exam. My third argument will be how FMGE exam and next exam needs to be combined, and keeping it separate is just violating the equality principle. Coming to my first argument of how next will ensure quality of medical colleges. Now we need to understand here that we have NEET PG, we have 5 years of medical education, and we have the university granting the degree. Now, if all of the MCI regulations are mechanistic in nature, right, they'll be talking about how teachers should be there, what are the provisions for laboratories, but they're not talking about how a doctor will graduate, what knowledge will he have, how much betterment the patient, like the doctor will be able to treat the person, right? So that is the first requirement. Second, if there is a uniform definition of an Indian medical graduate as per the 1997 graduate medical regulations, then why not have a common uniform exam, right? My third rebuttal, and my like together I'll be dealing, is that the opposition speaks that there isn't any way to check the competency using MCQ. Let me tell you that if MCQ questions are framed well, if clinical exams, clinical based questions are there, then students can be very well tested. One more thing that the opposition comes up and tells is, which will be my second main argument, that is that internship students will start to start to focus on exam. Let me tell you, that is what the current scenario is, and the next has been brought to overrule that. So internship is everyone can agree here that internship is a very important part of a person's life, right? 4.5 years of theory, 1 year of practical exam. It's a perfect combination of the both. Keeping this in mind, and that the internship was being hampered because students used to take admission into a college where interns were not called compulsorily. They used to go to coaching and have their share of studies. Now this will be changed because the student will now be exposed to the NEET exam quite early. This is my second point. My third point with the FMGE exam, which the opposition clearly missed. Now, why is FMGE exam needed to be combined with next? First argument, it will save money by creating a single exam. But more importantly, if the outcome of FMGE and the final year university exam is the same, the outcome being that both the students are allowed to do internship in India, if the outcome is the same, then why not have a same exam, right? So quoting some data with over here. So in India, there are 541 colleges, and this is as per Dr. Harshvardhan sir's reply of on question number 4434 in Lok Sabha. He says that there are 263 private colleges and 278 government funded, right? So here the 263 of private colleges do not include colleges which are funded by both the government and the like the society, like GMERS colleges and NHL medical colleges. These are not private colleges. Even if you see the MCI website, it's clearly written it's a government college. Now, because there are so many private colleges in India, right? I'll just take 15 seconds. Because there are so many private colleges in India, and overnight these colleges can't be done away with. Apart from that, government is forwarding making new 21 aims and adding 18,000 seats. But these private colleges need to be regulated, and just having mechanistically yearly MCI inspections on teachers cannot do anything. Therefore, I'm very, very proud to propose next. Thank you so much.
Well spoken, Akash. Thank you very much. And points I'll note, and I'm sure everybody listening and absorbing what you're saying. Let's have the next speaker from the option.
So next we
Yes,
have
Prashant.
Prashant Kumar
You can
Singh,
unmute yourself.
third year
Start.
student. Yeah, yeah. Prashant Kumar Singh, third year student from Vardhaman Institute of Medical Sciences, Nalanda, Bihar. Over to you, Prashant.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Madhuri Kanitkar ma'am, Reverend Nilima Kadambi ma'am, and other dignitaries present over here. Myself, Prashant Kumar Singh, will be speaking against the motion of the House. Ma'am, I will be covering, first of all, some aspects of NECTS. Like NECTS, basically, we do understand that it's just a composition where Indian medical graduates and foreign medical graduates would be sitting for a common entrance exam for getting license as well as for getting PG seats. Just now, I heard my friend Akash saying that this would be in good terms for those internship students. They will not be hampering their studies, like they will be doing their internships very freely and very calmly. But then I do have a point here that if they are not able to clear a passing mark, then would it be okay if they go into internship? Would it be they eligible to get on an internship? What would then if they don't clear an examination? They will have to wait for another chance that will overburden their career. They may go into anxiety, stress, and other depressions like factor. Like we have already seen several cases of depressions and suicides, even from the prestigious institutes like AIMS this lockdown period. Very well. So, and if at all he clears next one exam, he gets into internship, like he's able to he's get a license, but then he's not able to secure well in next one exam. Will he not get overburdened by this? Like he will not get seat in PG because and just he has to do with the internship and left his career again, then come for the next one exam and appear for it to get good marks so that he can enter get good college in PGs. So this is my point of concern. The other area of concern lying here is the mental issues of the students, because the next exam is going to be a 3-day long exam where it would include a pre-lunch and post-lunch exam session. So it was definitely going to be a very overburdened like situation for the students. The other point, the other gray area of concern here is about the CHP workers. This exam mentions, like they say that they would grant limited license. Now we don't know that what that limit is to a certain level. Again, we don't know whether it is to the level of antibiotics or it is to the level of penicillin, paracetamol or crocin. So this completely lacks a vague area of concern here. Like suppose they also talk about in this bill about the private college fees negotiation, 50% fees negotiation. Now, I want to ask my opposition team that how is this 50% going to interact with the present reservation system with respect to the domicile and other criteria? Like they also talk about setting different boards, MCI boards and all. Will it not affect the autonomy of the medical fraternity? Definitely it will. Like it will also lead to large number of coaching mafias in the name of money. They would lure the students in the name of that the exam patterns have been changed and they must join the institute so that they will have a bright career, and in the name of just sake of money. This will lead to the tension among the students, not only the students, but their parents too. With all my humbleness, I want to submit by saying that this no further amount of this short version course or anything can be the abridged version of this NEET PG. There should be fine-tuned for this bill with the inputs of various medical associations and good, well-meaning medical professionals who sacrifice the better part of their life for treating the patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, Dr. Musa, would you be speaking some perspectives from faculty and senior side about the exam?
Yes, I'm glad that I've been given this opportunity. I'm happy to share with Abhinav if he wants to speak before me, or I'll just take it from here on. Abhinav?
I think you can take it from here because otherwise.
Sure.
Yeah.
Super. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for having set a very good tone and very good pace. I'd like to quickly mention Akash, who's done wonderful background search. And I think that's very, very important when you're coming up for a debate to have your facts in place, to do a good scientific research instead of just letting our emotions get the better of us. Further, I'd like to thank our opposition team, Prashant, for having kept a wonderful tone while discussing this. I noticed that he said, my friend Akash mentioned this, which is a wonderful thing to do because, yeah, it's a healthy debate. And his tone was very calm. I noticed that he spoke in this space. Sometimes I feel like what happens on news channels, we're speaking in a very, very high pitch and because we are excited, but it creates the wrong impression of aggression. So it's nice to drop the tone a few notches like this. So you see, I've gone into a bass voice. It's more calming. I quickly I've taken up a few minutes already. I just have 2 minutes to speak. Quick 2 points to be added. Currently, there are, I understand that large part of many organizations is against the privatization of healthcare in India, which is becoming, and corporatization of healthcare in India, and also healthcare education, which is becoming privatized and corporatized. My understanding with the rest of our team is that with Next, we can reduce some of that. Simply because once the Next exposes that sometimes corporatizing and privatizing healthcare education leads to fewer, leads to some amount of fear in people who've not adequately prepared to enter the medical field and then be given an easy license. I think that itself will self-eliminate the number of people wanting to pick up medicine through the easy routes, easy channels. So this is something that I'd like to add. This itself, the Next, will help out in sort of standardizing care and bridge the gap between public and private healthcare education and standardize like it is in the UK. Everybody goes to the same exam and everybody who's passed that is of a certain caliber. You may be well above that, good for you. But if you've passed the exam, you've got 1 point through. I'd like to just add one more point since I have just 45 seconds left. This would be to alleviate the fear of many of us that who believe that the next exam is going to be difficult and very few people are going to pass it. My belief would be this actually increases your chance of passing. So any exam has a theory and a practical component. The current status quo, which is the NEET exam, is purely theory. It tests you on let's say like the knockout, like the old World Cup, Cricket World Cup. You should have a knockout. You perform well on that day, you win, and you become the world champions. But you may be a wonderful team having a bad day, and you are eliminated straight away. So I would believe that is more pressure, and your chances of working under that unnecessary pressure of 3 hours you're more likely to fail. Additionally, the practical part is lacking. Somebody like me, as you may have judged by the way I speak, I'm not necessarily very, very good at theory, but I could do very well in practicals, and I'd like to be judged based on that. And if I have actually spent time in my internship seeing patients, learning from my seniors, things which are not there in the book even, it will reflect in the way I do in my practical exams. And I can cover up for my lack of ability to absorb theory knowledge. And vice versa. Some people who are not confident with practical exams, but have amassed some good theory knowledge, and the balance is restored. With that, I'd like to end, and I'd like our opposition team to have the last speaker to speak for the motion. Thank you very much for this healthy debate. Thank you for your patient listening.
Thanks, Dr. Murtaza. And who is the speaker from Wbinar team?
Yeah,
Who is
Naveed.
speaking against the motion?
Yeah, so Naveed Khan is a third-year student from Baroda. He's going to speak against the motion. He's the last speaker from our side. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
everyone. Good evening, respected dignitaries and everyone on the panel. So I'll be basically focusing on the drawbacks of Next, which can be classified as for the healthcare system of India, as well as on the lives of medical students and upcoming generation. Elaborating on further, on the first aspect, Next was introduced by the central government so that they could increase the number of quality doctors in our country at primary healthcare setups, general practitioners, as we say. Well, just for facts, India has one of the highest recovery rate and one of the lowest fatality rate in the world for this COVID pandemic. And we do have a poor primary healthcare infrastructure also, which has been highlighted very well in this pandemic. With next exam getting implemented, it would create a bar for many allopathic practitioners to practice modern medicine in India, and hence indirectly promoting quacks at primary healthcare setups. With Next, we are intending to increase the standards for licensing purpose, and on the other note, we are decreasing the NEET PG merit criteria so that the vacant seats of PG get justice. With the current trend where number of private colleges are increasing every year, do we really think that the next exam would justify its purpose, or would it actually promote quacks with a license and a PG degree, ultimately affecting the healthcare? For the second aspect, Next will certainly have huge mental drawbacks on medical students, because you are intending to equate and combine a PG entrance exam and a licensing exam, which is itself a bad idea. Not every medical student will have enough courage to cope up with a 3-day licensing cum PG entrance exam of 4.5 hours each, just 3 to 4 months maximum passing after the final year university exam. What people will do, licensing experience would start diverting to other professions. Many would fly to other countries. Many would go for quackery. Rest of them may choose to die. Next, in its current form, could have been acceptable if government would have promoted government colleges over private colleges. Government would have provided better working environment, better infrastructure, social security, and financial well-being to doctors. With the current system where students are committing suicide in colleges of national importance, do you really think Next could improve this situation, or rather make it more worse? In a country like India, where government is not giving justice to healthcare by offering the bureaucracy part to doctors, do you really think that they will be smoothly able to implement this major change Next, or rather things would have been done haphazardly, where ultimately medical students are the scapegoats? Not extending this further, I would like to conclude my speech by saying Next is not the need of the hour, and Next will certainly demonetize the Indian healthcare system and medical students if any time implemented before repairing the Indian healthcare system, rather than throwing doctors over the healthcare system problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naveed. You are very articulate and said your thoughts very well. I would like to keep the balance on both teams and Dr. Shankul to share his thoughts on behalf of the side speaking on positive aspects that could help students in the future for the next exam. Over to Dr. Shankul, and at the end of that, we'll have 1 minute of a rebuttal or recap from both the teams. Okay, so start pairing your rebuttals. Shankul, over to you.
At the onset, let me thank Neelima ma'am for setting up this wonderful platform where productive inputs are coming from both the ends, and in front of person who will be very appropriate to acknowledge and weigh in the pros and cons of the points that have been discussed here. Through my experience, I would like to add that there is always a resistance to a change which comes in, whether it is in nature or it is in real. So now that next exam is proposed, everyone is a bit anxious. If we look at the positive aspects and work upon the negative aspects of this, we can definitely produce an exam which is in competency with the USMLE and the UK based exams that are happening. In my MBBS days, when I was into first and second years studying the basic sciences, I could not integrate much with the clinical sense and the application of that part which I learned in my first and second MBBS. But now this exam proposes and in turn gives an opportunity to all the medical colleges to shift to an integrated system of learning, which will directly and indirectly promote that we are taking care of the application part of what we learn in the basic sciences, which I think the basic means that your entire building is built upon a base, which is very important and needs to be very strong to withstand that building. And it is largely ignored in current medical profession. So also we are seeing that shift in NEET entrance examination. It is a good thought to root up that old system and bring in a new system with better improvements. And I think next, given some points are taken care of, we can definitely have a better exam in place than what we are having now, which more often promotes most common questions and scientist photographs, years, which are outdated and not really helpful in their future practices when they get to work in the real ground. That's all. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Shankul. And while the two teams gather their thoughts for the 1 minute rebuttal that we offer, one speaker from each side can speak, I would like to thank the audience for their plenty of questions that are coming, and for Dr. Madhuri and a few others who are responding. And one very important point Dr. Shankul brought, the change is the only constant in life. Everything all the time is changing. And that's where an attitude which is showing excitement, which is showing inquisitive, which is showing a capability of looking at things from all sides, 360-degree view of it, and then making decisions and choices. Because there's nothing totally wrong or totally right. Nothing that's perfectly good and perfectly bad. We all have choices and we all make decisions based on attitude. And therefore, emotional well-being hinges on keeping that attitude of inquiry, openness, and positivity at a time. And I'd like Dr. Abhinav to add anything here, not from team side, but as a psychiatrist, and what he thinks about emotional well-being and stresses of exams, so to say.
Thank you, ma'am. So obviously, being the mentor of the Against the Motion team, I will not. Everybody, I think almost all three of them have spoken well. I think all six of them have spoken well and conceptualized pretty well. But see, obviously, like Dr. Shankul said, resistance to change. Obviously, generally, as a psychiatrist and as we study psychology, there is that's an innate human psychological phenomena that we do resist change. Next exam being one of them, of all the various things in our life, and the resistance to change will remain there. But again, the question is, why is there that resistance to change? There might be a lot of reasons. There are personal experiences, there are observational learnings. We learn from our seniors that how to crack an exam. They mark important questions to us, and they said, okay, read this, leave this, you will score 60%. That's the aim, and you can get it easily. So and obviously that cognitive kind of like a thought comfort with something which has been happening over past 40 years or 30 years, and you're part of that system. So obviously that comfort at a thought and emotional level is really there if you're in a system, in a process which is continuously there. So obviously that resistance to change will always be there, and which is an innate human psychological phenomena. Second is just coming back to the next, and I had this thing in mind which I really wanted to discuss being in the panel, was that as it's an exam which has been being prepared in the first quarter of this century, and we have developed so well, and our education and examination has evolved so well. But do we really think next justifies the whole evolution of the examination education system? I do think so. A lot of things. I acknowledge what For the Motion team had said, but I would like to say a few things against it. It still doesn't cover a lot of things which existing education system, examination system does not cover, like interview skills, basic sciences, life skills related to practicing medicine, examination of a patient, which is, I think, has become redundant after so many investigations have come, but we need to go back to the same thing, I think, which does serve the purpose. Also, the second point was that the interviewing skills, including the therapeutic alliances, forming a rapport with the patient. These things are still not being taught in our colleges, and I don't think whether next will involve or include all these things. Second was the duration of the exams, which I think can be an emotional, can have emotional backlash on undergraduate medical students. Next exam being, first part of exam being 1 year, just following your final year examination, and next two being at the end of the internship. So this constant and consistent valid fears, apprehensions, anxiety will still remain there. So if we can have one exam where we can just sort it, finish and done and dusted, that will be much better emotionally, I feel, uh, from my personal experience, although I think that's very difficult to do it in a country like ours, which is such a big country and so many, and big country but limited resources country, I will still say. So this is what it is, and I still feel that we need to change our examination system. I am kind of for next, if not totally against next or for next, but yes, we need to evolve to the current times, which I think next is still lacking somewhere.
Thank you, Abhinav.
I
And
think
why your team
said a
and
lot.
Murtuza's team get their rebuttal points
Yeah.
jotted down, because you all have just 1 minute each. I'd like to launch a poll to say, have the audience really listening, and what are their views after having heard both sides speak? So maybe have poll number 2, which has 2 questions. So please answer both, and my request, answer honestly. We want to know what's really in your mind and your heart. Yes? One is about exams, one is about studying. So please answer both honestly. I hope all those fingers are working quickly and we have maximum participation and responses. We want the audience to be a part of this discussion through your chat box and through these polls. And I hope, I think it's going to be Akash from one team, and who's going to be from team 2 in the 1 minute recap rebuttal time that each team has before we conclude debate and then finish our webinar with the rest of our attitude related. I depend on my tech support, Deepti, to let us know when the polls have been answered and share the results.
Yeah, we have about 83% so far, still getting answers. We'll just wait about
Wonderful. Thank you, audience, for being so wonderful, interactive, proactive, engaged audience, and for really giving us your valuable time and your thoughts.
I think we can stop the poll and share the results now.
Yes, please. Okay, here you go. After listening to this debate about next, I now think that 45% say there is some merit in having a common standard exam across all medical colleges. Wonderful. That means you'll have listened with an open mind. 35% say, I believe such an exam is really not going to serve any purpose for us. You have an option to express yourself. Thank you for expressing it. And here we have 30% saying, I'll not get stressed about next. I will face whatever comes with a positive attitude. Yay! I'm all answers, there's right or wrong answer, but I say this 31% have got their attitude right, and I hope this interactive session has helped you all come to that decision. Because honestly, young friends, exams are part of our life. If you choose to become a surgeon, every time you go into the operation theater, it's like giving an exam. There is going to be uncertainty, there is going to be anxiety, there is going to be stress. The only thing that you can do is to stay calm and face it with your full focus, attention, dedication, devotion, and give it best. The outcome is really not in our hands, not in a MCQ exam, not in a VA exam, not in a surgical procedure, and not in an emergency room treatment. So learning to accept that we can only give our best at every point is so important. And that's where this positive attitude really, really helps. The second part was about studying from home, and 52% saying not able to concentrate at all. Oh, that is an area for concern, because without concentration, it's hard to study. But I can understand. It's so different trying to talk to a screen like this with no real audience, where you can have eye contact, where there's an energy that you can feel. But thanks to the chat group, thanks to technology, I'm still getting a very good feel and a very positive attitude coming through from all of you. Thank you very much. There is 12% of students who have this too much family pressure. Yes, there can be, and being in closed, confined spaces with prolonged time with parents and others can be quite stressful and interfere with your concentration. 48% think there's not much motivation to study alone. I empathize with you all, friends, and I'm hoping soon via media will be found, and maybe a jugaad system of part of you coming into classroom and others joining in technology through technology, and something will be worked out, because looks like Corona is going to be here with us quite some time more, and purely studying alone on your own is very hard. I'm hoping all our heads can come together, and all the people who are thinking about this will make some solutions very quickly available to you all. But till then, hang there, keep a positive attitude. Last 44% are saying online classes are difficult. Oh, I'm with you. I'm sure there are connectivity issues. I'm sure there are sound quality issues. I'm sure there are breakdowns in the communication system, or in some more places, no connectivity at all. And it's hard to just sit face a screen and keep concentrating. That human factor is important. But if you try it, and if you approach it with a positive attitude, saying, okay, it's here for some time, let me give it my best shot, you can still do it. Thank you guys for this poll, and let's move on to the rebuttal. Are the two teams ready? Who's going first?
Murtaza?
Yeah, I think since the 14 began speaking first, rebuttal, we'd like to go first. And Akash can probably, since he's teaching, I think he'll fall off his seat if you don't let him speak.
Over to Akash.
Yeah, Nilima ma'am, I have a small request. As there were like two main speakers, like three main on their side and three, like, I guess, four main on their side and three main on us. Can I have a 2-minute rebuttal if it's possible?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Go. We have time.
Yes, ma'am. Just give me 10 seconds. I will write one more point I need to talk about.
Just say it. No need to write it.
No. Like it's been written before when I think Krishna gave his speech. So just bringing it a bit back. Yeah.
You'll be surprised if after a few years, Akash also does some business. He's got wonderful negotiation and bargaining skills. He'll sell.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm starting in 3, 2, 1. Respected speakers, I would now like to tell you some of the very vague points that the opposition has raised. Number one, their whole case rests on, and from Krishna to Arvind, from Abhinav sir, is the fact that it will be burden on the student first. Second, Naved comes up and say about quackery. Third, first, Krishna talks about like the other exams in the colleges will become redundant. So that is basically that other exams will become redundant. So that is, you know, the point of eligibility. Like those exams will now become eligibility exams. So I'm going to counter 3 of them separately. First counter, as far as burden on students is concerned, right? So what Murtuza sir mentioned about the 3 days, I'm going to go one step further, talk about JEE advanced exam. JEE advanced exam, one of the toughest exams in India, has 3 hours pre-lunch, 3 hours post-lunch. And you know what? Everyone can agree here, or whole of the world can agree, that IITs are the one of the best graduates in the world, are the most intelligent people. Why? Because they have faced the exam burden, and exam like JEE Advanced. As a medical student, I even sitting at the comfort of my home, I couldn't solve 50% of the questions. So what the mentality there, right? So because burden on the students is self-perceived, and creating additional burden can help students cope up, I firmly believe exam pattern, it's not burdensome. Second, about Naved's point of quackery. Now, if doctor fraternity is opposing this additional community health providers on the grounds that it will become this community health provider clause will bring in quantity of doctors without quality, the message is clear that the doctor fraternity in India needs quality over quantity. Okay, so what this next is providing, it's providing exactly that. It's providing quality of doctors, not quantity of doctors. So Naved's point that quackery should not be there is completely agreed on our side of the house by saying yes, this will surely bring in quality of doctors and will not result in quackery. Third, about the eligibility, a part of that exams will only become eligibility. These will only become eligibility. Now, first of all, as per 1997 Graduate Medical Regulation 2 Clause 3, it says passing in first professional is compulsory before proceeding to phase 2. A student who fails in the second professional should not be allowed in professional part 3. Now, here the point I'm trying to make is that although those are eligibility exams, those are not mere eligibility to enter, to give the next exam in the first place. It is to progress through the medical school, right? So if first the person can't graduate the first year exam, then it's clear that that person needs to study harder and then he'll only go to the second year. So it's not that all of this collective exams will become a qualifying for the next. No, that will not be the case. The qualifying, the internal exams of the university will actually allow students to go from one level of the college to the other. Therefore, I'd like to conclude that I have substantially countered all of the three main arguments, and hence it's clear win on our side of the house. Thank you so much.
I think the decision will not be yours. And
Yeah,
I
ma'am,
think
I
all
know.
of the winners because you paid attention with a positive attitude. So over to the other team. Thank you for your input.
Naveed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, okay, I will counter part what Akash Sethi said. He is my batchmate, anyways. Uh, so, yes, as far as IIT is concerned, so Mr. Sethi, IITN's JEE Advanced and JEE something, which is applicable at the UG level. Here we are talking about next exam, which will be applicable for AIMS people, for those who are studying in private, or for those who are studying in any national importance institute. So you see the way private colleges are increasing. So I had mentioned a point that next is acceptable, undoubtedly, but government should at least promote government medical colleges over private medical colleges so that at least meritorious students are there in the competition. Now comes my part, which he was talking about quality and quantity. Obviously, quality will be there, but what I was referring by quackery was that Ayush practitioners, those people who are practicing non-evidence-based medicine, they will be promoted at primary healthcare level setup. Okay, so this is counterparted. Now comes the third point, that is about the university exam. Now I have mentioned a point very clearly that for currently, if we see the scenario, that recently Board of Governors, they had decreased the criteria of NEET PG merit list and probably for FMG as well. So just imagine that this is a licensing exam, right? Something which is a step down. So obviously they are going to create some sort of standard exam, and as Murtuza sir said, that it will be actually easy to pass that thing. So don't you think that the purpose of next is actually diluted, that you are actually passing your university exam, which is more difficult, and then you go for a more difficult level exam, but then passing criteria of that difficult exam is actually easier than the one which you had given earlier. So this is what we wanted to say, and probably I think our side weighs high than your. So here is, I would like to conclude it.
Thank you, Navid. A big round of applause for all the speakers who have spoken with passion, with a great attitude, and being congenial and respectful of the other person's point of view. And I would like Madhuri Katkar, as an ex-dean, a lifelong teacher, and a doctor, to give a perspective that she has gained from this discussion. And just to put it very clearly, none of us is speaking on behalf of any organization or any medical college or any association. We are here just sharing views. And the debate was supposed to be bringing out this attitude of approaching all challenges, even if you have different thought, you would like to express something, but to have a healthy debate and practice how to articulate, how to put your point across polite but clearly. And all of this is supposed to be our learning experience. And I think a lot that was achieved today. So over to you, Dr. Mari. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
What next?
Thank you very much, Dr. Nilima, and for Doctor's organization. It's given me a huge insight and opportunity to develop an even more healthy attitude. Since the theme was attitude, I think it was excellent. And I would like to start by complimenting all the speakers who came and spoke, and even those who probably for whatever misunderstanding stayed away from the battleground. It was not a battle. It was actually a friendly, you have those friendly IPL matches. So this was one where everyone enjoys. So that was the attitude with which we went about it. And I'm really grateful to Dr. Nilima and her team and all the mentors who helped organizers. What I propose to do is, since in my usual style, I've taken notes on everyone, so I'll put a comment for every speaker who spoke extremely well. First of all, my thanks to Dr. Abhinav, who summed up in the end. But I can just a lot of things, like we said, we are here as individuals. So I will not talk as part of the organization or part of the MCI or anything. I'm talking as Dr. Madhuri Kankar and what I feel about it. So first of all, I think I have a huge positivity coming into me in my attitude for two reasons. Firstly, the national complete education policy. I don't know how many, because we don't deal with, but the entire education policy is for a revamp, and the medical education and health has undergone reforms, and you all will just wait on and see, probably somewhere around 24th, 25th March, the entire thing will be spelled out, because you are part of a history where the country is going through some of the major reforms in education as well as health. So that is the first thing. And secondly, like you said, the changing and the issues you brought out, look at the prospective planning. The competency-based medical education was launched last year, and it's being implemented in phases. So by the time we reach that, we're going to be totally different. And for those of you, because most of the faculty has passed out and the senior batches, I think you all don't even know, but there is a huge ATCOM module, which is Attitude, Ethics, Practical Communication, which has now become part of a competency base, and exactly the problems. I mean, it's amazing how you guys have brought out all the problems that are being looked out. And then I would like just start by a quick comment on the poll, that it was beautiful to see that 54% were just occasionally stressed and 24% no stress. That's the attitude, guys. Very good. And the other positive thing was that most of them do have time for hobbies, but for the people who felt that no, we are really now we should be doing with studies, I'd like to highlight the Pareto principle of 80-20. Don't kill yourself over anything. Life is not worth it. Have the attitude, because if you're happy doing following some hobbies, and you do it now as a student, it will go you through life where you will continue to enjoy and do well. So that's my principle. Now I'll just go on to Krishna. He brought out some points where he said that, how can one exam? But let me tell you, the competency-based medical education is completely based on a formative assessment and feedback, which is going to be ensured throughout the medical education. And there is no question of someone passing and not being able to get the licentiate exam, because if you don't pass, you don't get a degree. So it's no half measures, and there will not be a backlog. I'm not in a position to spell out the entire what is happening, because it's being formulated. But when it comes out, you'll see it's a brilliant solution which handles all this. The biggest issue we had was that internship. I mean, 90% of students, I can assure you, are not attending internship and learning the skills because they're spending time in coaching classes. You'll all agree with me, preparing for the PG entrance because you feel your whole future is based on that. So the next exam is addressing that issue. How? Wait and watch. The next thing was as to how can MCQs, for those of you who are preparing for USMLEs, I mean, is it a theory paper or is it an MCQ? Even an MCQ is not by rote learning. Let me assure you, it will be based, and you've already seen a transition in even the NEET. It's going towards case vigilance and clinical based scenarios. So if you've not been in patient wards, you've not seen patients, you cannot answer that MCQ by mugging a few things. As far as fees, we are not, this was not the part of this, but again, wait and watch. Huge reforms are coming in, and the competency-based education is already, that was for the first speaker. Secondly was for Akash, where he brought out, firstly, I mean, you know what I wonder how he stole my thunder, because I was going to give exactly those 3 points that when we started talking about next and why next is needed, we had 4 criteria and he's covered exactly those. Firstly, how to make internship relevant. Secondly, how to standardize. I mean, a person who passes out of one college or the other, because finally examination and assessment drives learning. So if we can improve this thing and standardize that thing, everyone will have to learn the basic competencies. That was my second. Third was your issue of reducing exam. Just wait and watch. Next is only actually going to reduce exams, not increase it. And the fourth is FMG. Absolutely. These were our 4 concerns and you addressed them all. My compliments to you for the research you did and brought out all your points in an excellent manner. When it comes to Prashant, I think you brought out a point that what will happen for those who fail. Don't worry. Just the way you in the university exam, you have a supply, your next is also going to have a supply. So yeah, the aim would be to get maximum into mainstream and not lose out on a time. As far as this thing, you all must have seen the government's whole process is to increase quickly PG seats and make it more clinical based so that every UG, if we can achieve the target that if I have 50,000 UGs and 50,000 PGs, everyone's going to get something, right? So your thing of getting so stressed out, well, nothing happens overnight. So have that attitude that, I mean, there's a huge number of people and the organization and the government and the country, and the teachers and everyone who are on lookout for the welfare of students. So that's going to be something beautiful. As far as I'm saying, giving so many papers, I just want to question, aren't you giving 8 papers in final MBBS? So just giving an idea. So suppose that got replaced with this. I mean, I'm just, with debating all the things and we wanted feedback from here. So you will not have any extra. As far as fees, well, it's not part of this discussion, but wait and watch. There are reforms coming your way. Coming to Dr. Muthu, I think he gave an excellent perspective, which I really appreciated. Coming to Naved, I think he brought in the aspect of COVID. I don't think COVID is and the primary healthcare is the reason. There is already a lot of research, and for those, I mean, it's probably, a little at a higher level, but there's a whole lot of research that has gone on, and the Indian has come out a very strong percent, whereas the case fatality rate is the lowest in the world, in spite of a poor health infrastructure, whereas the world required ventilation for almost 4 to 5%, our ventilator requirement has been not more than 1.3, 1.4%, and oxygen requirement only 3%, whereas the world required 10%. So there you are, guys. We Indians are a class apart. So let's have that attitude that we are strong and we can take in COVID, we can take in next. So not to worry. Then it was about, not sure about, how this common exam is going to be, but not to worry, it's going to be in such a beautiful manner that people are going to be less stressed. yes, that is definitely a concern as to how can one same exam be a licentiate exam where you need 50% to pass, just like any university, and a cutting edge thing which PG. But suppose the competition for the PG got lower because there were more seats, and suppose you were given an opportunity and your papers were set in such a way that, you know, the maximum of your questions were in the must know to pass, and then you had a nice to know and a you know, may know. It would be it's going to be not a test of students, it's going to be a test of faculty. So just relax and wait and watch. As far as I mean, why should people will not even do medicine for this? I beg to differ. Even today, why are people rushing to do medicine? They're going to Russia, they're going to China. If our seats are increasing and you have a better education which is available in your own home country, why would you run to others? We want to reach a stage where others will run to us for our quality of education, not our people running. So that's again another attitude to be very proud of. Coming to the government, this thing, I think you'll already heard the Honorable Prime Minister himself said that they're going to think of increasing the GDP. COVID has brought out the lacuna and brought home a clear message that it's not about only producing doctors, it's the entire system. And that's being looked at. And it may take time, but what is going to, you know, miss out in this? Digital technology is going to take it forward. And before you know it, we're already having huge, COVID has changed that challenge into an opportunity. Look at the telemedicine platforms that are, and look at how even villages now are being reached out. There are programs which are there. Asha workers are being given slates. So, you know, when you are not really in touch with what's happening, I quite understand your fears and apprehensions, but there's someone who's looking out for you, and there's a huge positivity which I want you to think of. Coming to Shankul, I want to really tell him, he spoke a word of integrated approach. I'll tell you that there's going to be no question of bridge courses. We're looking at integrated. Have you all ever given it a thought that the world wants to learn yoga and meditation from India, and a promotive, positive mental attitude and a positive mental well-being is through systems other than allopathy? Does talk of preventive, promotive, palliative, everything, but it also is more about prescriptions and getting you ready for that. How often are you taught about alternative ways of you know, positive thinking, mental well-being, or using other means of, because your outcome finally does not only depend, disease is not only the, you know the definition, it's the it's not just the absence of disease, but it's a presence of a whole lot of things. And it's not just on bugs which catch you, but it's your nutrition, it's your environment, it's your genetics. Are we addressing that all in the present education? So I can again tell you with pride that on 11th, I think 8th of September is the first highest level meeting at Niti Aayog. We are looking at how to bring this and make it more holistic and integrating to bring in better positive health. So I'm going to be part of that committee. And so what I'm trying to give you all is, again, there's so much positivity which is going on. Then comes to, I think Doctors for Doctors can consider taking a repoll or listening to me. Is it all bad, or is it all good, or is it a gray? And let's have an open mind. I would request you all to take let this session finish, but you may want to look at, because a lot of people, because of the limitation of 100, I think, and I've got messages from a lot of students, and there are lots who are trying to come in, would like to be heard. So if you could create a platform where taken inputs and a positive attitude is brought in, where there can be two ways, right? I can give you a constructive feedback, or I can criticize you. I would want constructive feedback to be the attitude, and no criticism or negativity here. So I think there were some issues about everyone. That second poll which you had, I couldn't agree more. My own students, who I'm in touch with, all are waiting to get back to college, because it's not only about a lecture. You learn a lot from your peers, from your colleagues, from your friends, and the attitude that you develop in a college environment is very different from sitting in front of a computer. So I'm with you, and let me also assure you that we are going to and taking up a matter that medical colleges may be, probably allowed to function maybe a little earlier so that clinical experience is given. And also, we were never shut, right? Schools got shut, but medical colleges can't shut because the hospitals have to run. So, I mean, we're looking at ways and means to get you all back to college at the earliest. And so it was, and the final comment I have is that 70% of you already have the correct attitude even before you all came on this seminar. And I think the other 30%, I'm confident, have developed a little more positive attitude. So with that, I close my comments and I hand over back to our moderator, Dr. Nilima, to continue.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mari. You have really encapsulated the whole thing, and I'm sure a lot of people were waiting to hear your responses. And I'm glad that this platform where the people shared openly has given you all much more insight to the medical students' perspective. And once more, I have to repeat that here it was a platform of sharing and caring, of a positive attitude, listening and learning. I hope all of you all have enjoyed it as much as I have. And thank you all for your participation. We have one more poll, just 2 questions, 3 questions. So let's do it quickly before we wind up for the day. There you go. Since COVID is off everyone's mind, the question is about COVID. And then about some solutions that can work to help alleviate. Please answer truthfully and answer quickly. We are running out of time. And I'm very much interested in the last questions, responses, because that helps us help you better. Like Jerry Maguire had said, help me, help you. And dear students, keep one thing and just one thing in mind if you reflect everything else also. We are all on the same side. We are on the side of students. You all are the future of our country's healthcare professional team. You all are the future of this nation's bright future. So we are all on your side. We are all going to work with you and for you. Just be patient, have faith, and have that positive attitude. Okay? Okay. Have we got enough people answering the polls?
We have about 73%
and I'd like to
responded so far.
Okay, let's give just a few seconds more, and during time, if any of the other panelists wish to say something, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to add 2 points only. One, despite the fact that our team has done fantastically, and I'd like to quickly congratulate our opposition team, mainly for keeping time. I think their speakers always kept time because I was watching over time. And I think punctuality is a wonderful virtue. And sometimes being punctual itself can reduce your stress. So thank you very much, the opposition team, for always keeping time. Second thing, again, from the opposition team, I'd love the humor that came in with one of the doctors brought in saying, this is my batchmate, he's my friend. And he sort of loosened up the mood, which I think is brilliant. Humor can sometimes be a very, very nice neutralizer. At the same time, break the tension. So that's nice. Thank you very much. And finally, just a quick mention about the previous poll, where we said that following hobbies sometimes can be a very, very interesting way to deal with stress. And you're gaining a new skill in the bargain also. And it was nice to note that a large percentage of students felt that if your friends motivate you, you will actually pick up the hobby. So this is something that we are working on. I may quit my practice for a few months and work on a startup. The startup is called Code Blue, and we are trying to find out solutions how we can get people connected and get them to motivate each other to practice hobbies. So that's something that I like a lot of support for. Code Blue, CODEBLU. Healers for Healers. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on this platform.
Thank you. And here are the results of our polls. They are seen on your screen too. Since COVID crisis, I felt sad or low moods or depressed. Only once in a while is 44%. And the others say, yeah, on many days in the last 4 months, no, I always stay positive is by 19%. And yes, I feel on most days is by 16%. Those of you who are feeling low on many days, I would encourage you to talk to a counselor, a psychologist, or a family friend, whoever you can talk to only, because sharing your thoughts, sharing your concerns can help you get the right perspective. A therapist is not somebody to talk to. They're trained professionals who can support you in figuring the answers. And we have reached this book called Surviving COVID for medical students, and that has links to many resources that could be helpful. I'm sure it is there on our website, there everywhere. We will have posted along with this recording of this video so that you'll have the resources and the people to reach out to. Do not feel ashamed. It's okay to take help. We all need help at some point in life, and it's perfectly fine to take help in a timely way. My opinion on writing my sad, stressful thoughts in a diary. 20% say it's useful at all, a waste of time. Okay, it is useful, but give us a digital diary very fixed things to fill. So there you go. They're already preparing for CQs even in their diarying and journaling. And 63% says it may be helpful, but I would prefer to talk to a friend or my partner. Wonderful. Nurturing friendship, having people who care about your being, and you reciprocate in kind to each other does help. But again, if just talking with each other doesn't help, you can reach out to more qualified people to help you. And 10%, I'm not sure, maybe it is just to see a therapist. If you really need one, why not? No shame, no harm in that. It can only be helpful. And my favorite last poll, oh, wonderful. Thank you, audience. 6-7% yes, definitely D4D support with news bullet, handbooks, and webinars, very useful. So that gives us encouragement to keep going and keep doing this. And we enjoy this journey with you. And I'm so glad it's helped to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Madhuri. Thank you, Dr. Murtaza. Thank you, Dr. Abhinav. Thank you, my tech support people and my debate team members. Have a wonderful evening. Shabba khair. Good night.
And go back with a very positive attitude. Bye-bye.
Yes.